Hello, Thomas Wagner here with the St. Vincent de Paul Society here in King County, and I am with Sister Charlotte Van Dyke, Sister of Providence, and I just learned for 60 years. Just had your Jubilee, so congratulations on that. And Sister Charlotte is also a member of the St. Vincent de Paul Society. Mm-hmm. Would you like to share with us which conference you belong to and how long you've been a Vincentian?
It's Our Lady of Guadalupe Parish Conference, and it's a growing conference. We had a meeting last night. There were 20 members there.
Wow.
I've been a part of the conference for about 2 years, and it's been a wonderful experience, very life-giving.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad you're a part of our
Thank you.
Our movement. So I'd like to talk a little bit about home visits. I know you've done plenty of home visits in your Vincentian tenure.
Right.
What is it about home visits that you've received life from?
Well, it's life-giving because you meet people who are often very desperately poor, and our visits seem to bring hope to them. You know, we talk about meeting Jesus in the face of the poor. It's kind of a reflection of the spirituality that we espouse as Vincentians. But usually they are very grateful. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're so damaged by life that they really can't interact with us. But it's something that is, I think I receive more than I give when I visit the people in their homes.
Could you expand on that, how you receive more than you give?
Well, you know, so many people say about the poor, well, why don't they just get a job? And
right.
you learn a great deal about their lives in just a very short visit. We usually spend maybe 30 minutes with a client, and they share with us their joys and sorrows, their children. Often the children come and they grab your leg, or want to see what's in the bag, and things like that. But they share their lives with us, and we learn a great deal about the struggle and the hope that people, even in the most desperate circumstances, generally have. And if they're not hopeful about what tomorrow will bring, or that they'll finally get that job that they've been trying to get for the whole year, you learn something about the virtue of hope. And, you know, I like to think that we are a very hopeful church. You know, the world is in a big mess, but there's hope it can be better.
Right.
And it keeps us moving, it keeps us alive. We go out with probably more hope than we go in with sometimes.
Right. Now you've been, as we mentioned, a sister for 60 years, and I'm sure there's been much spiritual development in your life in those years.
Right.
How in the past 2 in particular, as a Vincentian, has that affected your faith life?
It's, I think I would say that it's calming. It's kind of a weird thing to say about your spirituality, but you know, it's not the ritual, it's not the words that you say when you're praying, it's the realization that God is out there at work in our world always. And you know, you can find God. You know, I'm an old lady. I remember the movies that I saw as a child, you know, where you'd be seeing somebody walking down a railroad track very downtrodden, and everything is black and full of dust and coal, and there's a little plant that's just coming up between the slats in the railroad.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing that we see when we visit poor people. You know, their house can be barren of furniture. They're still looking for something better in life, and it makes me feel that maybe my connection to God is meaningful.
Right.
I mean, there's something that goes through me and through those of us who are serving the poor. It's from God to them. It's not anything that we do ourselves personally, but we become a channel of hope for these people.
Right.
And it's
Christ working through you.
He works through us, and it's not conscious. I mean, you can be there, you can be talking to them about the most mundane things, you know.
Yeah.
No, I'm allergic to wheat, please bring me oats, or something,
Right.
something like that. But the human interaction and the importance of the way that we interact with the people that we serve, it is an act of faith.
Yeah.
And it deepens my spirituality, and I
Yeah.
think it probably has that same impact on others.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any people you visited or any particular home visit that's kind of strikes out to you in terms of?
One of the first people I visited was a young woman. I won't give her name, but we were given the address. We knocked on the front door, and then we realized that the front door was broken. It was kind of split down the middle, and there was a sign just under the handle, and it said, "Please go around to the back." So we went around to the back, and there was a sliding door there. The house was dark, the shades were drawn. We thought, well, the client isn't home. But we knocked on there anyway. We were greeted by a huge dog that was, you know, up against the window from the inside. And pretty soon this woman came to the door. She was fairly young. She was very thin, and she let us in. The house was 53 degrees. My partner noticed that it was 50. He had a watch that did everything, and said it was 53 degrees. She had nothing. The water had been turned off. The electricity had been turned off.
Wow.
She had candles lit in the living room, and so we talked with her for quite a while. And I asked her, I said, "Well, what do you do for water?" And she said, "Well, I have these tubs out back, and I bring them to the gas station and I fill them up with water, and that's what I
Wow.
manage." So we always look at their bills when we come to help them with utilities. It was almost $2,000. And so, you know, we have a policy that we don't pay the whole amount. We want to motivate people to take some responsibility.
Right.
But there was no possibility that they could, they meaning herself and the owner of the house, who was an Iraq veteran, former firefighter. He was in treatment for PTSD, so he wasn't there. And she was there alone with that dog. And so we called the utilities department and asked him how the bill had gotten that high. And he said, "Well, we turned the water off 2 months ago, but we have to make visits periodically to make sure they haven't, you know, jigged up something that they can get water." And he said it costs $40, so we add $40 every time we make that visit. And there's something really wrong with this system.
Right.
But the thing that struck me is that this woman was not sobbing and complaining about her life. She simply stated the facts and said, "Can you help?" So I won't go through all of what we went through to try to help this woman, but no utilities at all in a house that was falling apart. Apparently someone had tried to burglarize, and so the front door had been broken, and there was a 2x4 holding it closed from the inside. I mean, it was a level of desperation that I haven't seen before or since. So a number of the members of our conference have visited this woman since that time, and always it's something very basic that we can bring. But the young man who owned the house and who was her partner did meet us one time when we made a visit there, and he said that they were going to take care of it. He was going to be able to do something, but he didn't tell us what it was. But you know, it's interesting, after talking with her and leaving, I felt that the dog was her greatest blessing. I mean, he was a protector.
Yeah.
He gave her warmth. I think she probably spent most of every day in bed with that dog, keeping her warm.
Yeah.
But it also makes us realize how much we have, you know, what luxury we live in.
Yeah.
When you think about how other people live. That one will stay with me forever.
Yeah. Well, it's like you were mentioning the sprout of a plant in the middle of the dirty
Railroad tracks.
Yeah. There was some hope there.
Yeah.
And grace, if you will.
That's right.
In that moment, but
Yeah.
you had to visit to find
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sister Charlotte.
You're welcome.
And thank you for all the great work you do as a Vincentian.
It's a blessing to me.
Thanks.